Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that the board meeting is being live streamed. Mr. Chair.
Good morning. At this time, I would like to call the February 5th, 2025 LCTCS Board of Supervisors meeting to order. At this time, I will ask that Supervisor Patrick Johnson lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
States of the Republic, states, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I will ask Erica Poole, has there been any requests for public comment related to one of the enumerated agenda items on today's meeting agenda? This is a reminder that the public comment period must be related to specific agenda items.
No, sir, we do not have public comment at this time, and I'd be happy to take roll call when you're ready.
Thank you. At this time, we need to call roll.
Yes, sir.
Please, Ms. Poole.
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to do so. Chair Hardy
Present.
is present. Supervisor Smith is absent. Supervisor Toops
Present.
is present. Supervisor Burke is present. Supervisor Butler McIntyre is here. Supervisor Hall is present. Supervisor Hogan is present. Supervisor Hollins is absent. Supervisor Johnson is present. Supervisor Lee is present. Supervisor McConduit is absent. Supervisor Moody is present. Supervisor Mount is present. Supervisor Price is present. Supervisor Salath is present. Supervisor Ardwin is present, and Supervisor Eli is present. At this time, Chair Hardy, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Poole. At this time, I request a motion to approve the February 5th, 2025 meeting agenda.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Butler McIntyre, seconded by Supervisor Hogan.
It's been moved and seconded.
Yes, sir, by Supervisor Hogan.
Are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item, request a motion to approve the December 11th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Mount.
Moved and seconded. Are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. This time I present the consent agenda items for consideration by the board.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, staff recommends that the board approve the consent agenda, which consists of items G1 through G5.
You have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Mount.
Discussion? Objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to mention to the board, you note that in G1 and in G2, this is both the review and reaffirmation of mission statements from the delineated colleges A through D, and then a revision to the mission statement at Sewella Technical Community College. This all falls in line with the accreditation efforts from each of these colleges as they go through reaffirmation. Just want to point that out.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan.
Sure.
Next on the agenda is I'm to provide an update on the Washington Mardi Gras. From what I remember, because it's usually a blur, right? And the Arctic blast didn't help a lot. But I must say, with all the things that we had to deal with the snow, with the delayed flights, as time went on in Washington, the attendance got better and better. So some people, I guess, didn't want to pay for their hotel rooms without attending, even though they got there late. They still made it. I thought the economic development luncheon was outstanding. Secretary Susan Bourgeois made an outstanding presentation. We heard from our congressional delegation. And of course, we're honored to have our own Louisianan that hails from Bossier, the Speaker of the House, who also was there. So, I mean, Louisiana's in the House right now, big time. Representative Scalise, I had the honor of sitting at the table with the governor and his folks. So this is an exciting time in terms of Louisiana having close relationship with the powers that be in Washington. We had a function ourselves, LCTCS. Doc might talk about that a little bit when you come up. I regret that I was on a tarmac somewhere in the snow and didn't make it there in time, but I understand from people that attended, all went very, very well. We have people that are very proud of what the system is doing throughout the state. So I just can't say enough about what Dr. Sullivan with the leadership team is doing, what's being said about this system all around the state. And with the opportunities we have now, it's like not what we've seen before, especially in the things that are happening in the northern part of the state, right, Supervisor Price? Absolutely. So, so we're very, very excited. So Washington, from what I remember, went very, very well. Any other comments? Anybody else attend would like to speak on Washington Mardi Gras and the events there? Supervisor? All right. At this time, I will turn to Dr. Sullivan to provide the president's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and certainly want to thank our chancellors who were able to attend Washington Mardi Gras, and to Chandler and the team for a great job in the reception there, and representing our community and technical colleges from across the state of Louisiana. Our update today is a very special day, as we have a group in the house with us today from Delgado Community College. Whoop whoop! Right? How about that? Good to have the team with us. This is, as you've seen from a number of our colleges, a leadership institute specifically at Delgado, is dedicated to cultivating future leaders within Delgado by expanding the knowledge base of current employees about various aspects of the community college system. So with that, I'd like to ask the members of the class to stand and be recognized. Very much appreciate the leadership, Dr. Staub, in having this group join us. The one thing that I will say to you is this is the business of community and technical colleges that happen with this board. The group of folks that you see at the dais here today, these are folks that volunteer their time to represent the same mission that you and I love and contribute to every day. So this group is the backbone of community and technical colleges in Louisiana. You are the ones who get the opportunity to do that work on the front lines every day. Thank you for what you do. All right. With that, we will turn to the college updates, and I'll begin at North Shore, where this last week of January, the family and friends of Harold Vesper Jr. signed an agreement with North Shore to establish the Harold Vesper Jr. Memorial Endowed Scholarship. This $30,000 scholarship is created in memory of the late NTCC automotive instructor, Harold Vesper Jr., a U.S. Army combat veteran who is remembered for his perseverance in the face of adversity, his skills as an automotive mechanic, and his dedication to his students. Thank you to Dr. Carlson and to the family of Harold Vesper Jr. for the memorial and the support for our students. Delgado Community College, where fall commencement was held the first week of December, and the number of graduates, 1,360 fall graduates. I believe that is, if not a high water mark for the fall, it's got to be pretty close, right, Chancellor? Very close. All right, Delgado graduated 220 nurses and allied health professionals. They also received the Bank of America funding in the amount of $50,000, which will be used to support the Isaac's Promise Scholarship. Now, there's one I can't wait for this board to hear more about. Isaac Delgado, obviously the namesake of Delgado Community College, a gentleman who created Delgado Community College at a time in the early 1900s when the statement, I believe, from his will indicated that college was one to help educate young males in commerce. And effectively today, if you look at what Delgado Community College is doing, it extends well beyond that initial population. But yet the promise that Isaac Delgado intended is still alive and well today. And so, Chancellor, looking forward to an opportunity to discuss that one further. The Delgado Foundation was named the 2024 nonprofit organization to the nonprofit organizations list in the city of the New Orleans City Business Magazine. Bossier Parish Community College, on Thursday, February 27th, BIPSI will recognize a milestone in the history of the college with a 20th anniversary celebration of the construction of the Bossier City campus. My goodness, it has been 20 years. Where's Chancellor Bateman? There he is. 20 years, it's hard to imagine. I was just in a conference room the other day and saw a cup holder that memorialized the beginning of that campus. And so, Chancellor, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years. The number of people served at that campus, incredible over that period of time. At Fletcher, in the 2 weeks before Christmas, Fletcher secured over $100,000 in donations and pledges. End of year giving is incredible. Chancellor, great job. At BRCC, nearing the completion of the $33 million nursing and allied health building. If you haven't had an opportunity to take a look, I know that Chancellor Smith has the tour down pat now. He knows exactly where to take you from point A to point B and get you in the building and out of the building. I know that he would be glad to walk you through that building today if you would like. We are anticipating that construction will be completed by April 18th and all furniture in the building by mid-May. We look forward to perhaps a June meeting where we could get the group over and have everyone walk through that facility. The second item at Baton Rouge Community College, the college has experienced a 6% increase in spring enrollment, which will be another record enrollment for Baton Rouge Community College. Congratulations, Chancellor. Great work. In addition, BRCC received $435,000 in healthcare funds from the Board of Regents for high school LPN program expansion. Really an important initiative there. At Central Louisiana Technical Community College, the college is proud to highlight the 5th Student Board Supervisor, Mr. Chris Ellie, and his trip to Washington, D.C. He was able to take a photograph with Governor Landry. I think we all got a chance to see that one and like it out on social media. Excellent, good stuff. He met with several members of the United States Senate and Congress and also attended the Economic Development Luncheon. Chris, very proud of the work that you are doing in representing our students. All right, at Sewella, the 5th year interim SACS report has been accepted and approved. That sounds like just typical run-of-the-mill business, right, Chancellor Aspinwall? But let me tell you, this one was important. It's important in the sense that the college was, if you think about what has happened at Sewella in the last 5 years, imagine how in the world would you have a SACS application that just went that smoothly on the heels of all that the college has dealt with Hurricane Laura, with the impact that storm had and all the other issues that Sewella has faced in this last 5 years. Thank you for your leadership, Chancellor. Great work. The second item, the college has also had an on-site SACS review committee visit in October. The purpose of the visit was to review and verify Sewella's request to add 11 off-campus dual enrollment sites. Many of our colleges are going through the same process now. There were no recommendations as a part of that. So again, excellent work. At Northwest Louisiana Technical Community College, the college held the groundbreaking for the new nursing wing at the Mansfield campus. And boy, I know Representative Bagley must be happy at this point, right? Great work in trying to expand not only the space that we have there, but also the quality of the space to ensure that our students understand the quality of the instruction that is going on inside those facilities. Great work there, Chancellor. With that concludes the President's report. And with that, I will turn back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Supervisor Burke, are you prepared to present the academic action items for consideration by the board?
At this time, I would like to call Chancellor Wolfoff to give the accreditation update.
Chair Hardy, at this moment, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just would like to note for the record that Supervisor McConduit's present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So noted.
Good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, and members of the board. In front of you, you have, for information only, a report on our accreditation actions. So twice a year, we like to present to the board an update of our colleges and where they stand with their accreditation actions and operations towards their accreditation. So you'll be able to see statuses on each of the colleges as listed. And I'll open up for any questions, and we can invite Chancellor Spillers to give an update on Northwest as they have made a final push towards their accreditation.
Good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board. I'm really excited to be here today. Last week was a huge push, and we managed to get that final application. I say final, we're almost there. Application in before our visit that's coming on March 17th. I was telling Dr. Sullivan a little bit ago, we got that application in. I think everybody felt it after that exhaustion. So it was a huge milestone for us, and we're very thrilled to be at this point. I'm looking forward to giving you more good information as we progress. I do want to thank members of my team who are recovering. They've worked very, very hard to get us to that point. We have an audit with no findings. It's been a great journey, but I'm going to embarrass somebody today, and I want Bill Tulak to stand up. Stand up, Bill. He deserves a huge round of applause. He has been very instrumental in helping us get where we are. I mean, I laughed the other day and I was trying to find evidence on something, and it's something very obscure. And I'm looking, I'm going, Phil, I don't know where I'm going to find this. And all of a sudden, it pops in my inbox, and he's found it back in a board meeting in, the year of 1901 or something. And so he knows everything. And we really appreciate you, Bill. Thank you. And with that, that's all I can say.
Any questions for Chancellor Spillers? Thank you for the great work. Excellent.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
I would add on the accreditation front, I know all of you read the newspapers and see the news as I do. Discussions coming out of the White House about the potential of the elimination of the Department of Education will have implications for our accreditation standards and our approach to accreditation. So what I ask for each one of you is stay attuned to what's going on there, because there will be implications for our colleges. We will, as those items develop, we'll be able to come back to the board and talk through what those changes might look like.
Thank you, Doc. At this time, Supervisor Johnson, can you present the facilities action items for consideration by the board?
Yes, sir. I'd like to invite Mr. Toby Como to help us with this.
All right, I'm on. Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair Hardy, Dr. Sullivan, members. Two items, and I'll talk through them. Give you a little bit of background. So the first one you have in your information is a modification of the ground lease and leasehold mortgage agreement at the North Shore Technical Community College Livingston campus, and this is a building that the college occupied. It was completed August of 2019. In the regular session of 2023, they received a capital outlay appropriation. Currently, the site is approximately 13 acres, and it's leased to the Facilities Corporation under the original ground lease agreement that was authorized by the board. That funding will allow them to do an addition on to the existing building and then build an additional building. In order to do that, we have to modify that ground lease mortgage agreement. The estimated cost, we have a $10 million appropriation right now, and we'll be working through additional funding in the upcoming session. So any questions, happy to answer.
Toby, if I may, I think the important point here is the Livingston campus, when it was built, was full. Just let that sink in, right? This is an Act 360 project under at the Livingston campus. And what we find there is the population growth that is occurring in Livingston Parish is outstripping our capacity. And the dollars that are listed in capital outlay will be instrumental in helping us to advance and really to help both North Shore Technical Community College and Southeastern in their effort to serve Livingston Parish. So Chancellor, great work there. And I know that Toby's glad to entertain any questions that board members may have.
Go ahead and read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board authorize the president and the chancellor of the North Shore Technical Community College to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to modify the ground lease and leasehold mortgage agreements at the North Shore Technical Community College at Livingston to allow the construction of an additional building at this site using capital outlay funds. The LCTCS Facilities Corporation Board must approve these agreements, and they must be filed with the local clerk of court.
The recommendation being read, is there a motion to accept the staff's recommendation?
Motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor Eli.
Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, the motion carries.
All right, and our next item, and this is an exciting one too, and this is a cooperative endeavor agreement between LCTCS on behalf of Fletcher Technical Community College, State Division of Administration, Lafourche Parish Government, and the LCTCS Facilities Corporation. And this is a partnership that will utilize a disaster recovery grant through the Office of Community Development of approximately $15.8 million. For the Fletcher Thibodeau location, this will include demolition, renovation, and new construction. The project involves the expansion of the construction trades and CDL program. There's currently a shortage of CDL operators and construction workers in that area. So this is going to help really provide that community with some increased resiliency by providing that education. Some of the benefits, just want to point out, it will provide the system with approximately 18,000 square feet of new construction and approximately 18,000 square feet of renovated existing space funded. So that's 100% grant from that organization. Any questions? Okay. I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board authorize the system president and the Chancellor of Fletcher Technical Community College to negotiate and execute all documents necessary for the Fletcher Technical Community College Thibodeau expansion project with the Louisiana Office of Community Development, the Lafourche Parish Government, and the LCTCS Facilities Corporation, and complete all requirements to facilitate a cooperative endeavor agreement for this project.
Is there a motion to accept staff's recommendation?
Motion by Supervisor McConduit, seconded by Supervisor Toots.
Is there any discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, as we transition, perhaps it's important to note on that last item, the involvement of local government in funding campuses in the Houma Thibodeau region, Lafourche, as well as Thibodeau. Bless you.
Thank you.
Have been very active in ensuring that we had the resources that we need from a physical a facility point of view. So very thankful for that relationship.
Thank you. At this time, Supervisor Lee, can you present the finance action items for consideration by the board?
Thank you, Chair Hardy. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Chandler DeBuff to provide some information about finance items for consideration by the board.
And I'll ask Dr. Strickland to join me for the first item. And good morning again, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board. What you have in front of you as the first item is the establishment of the Fletcher Falcon Enterprise Corporation. And the background to that really is an opportunity that Fletcher created, a 501c3 organization, to be able to do strategic initiative work on behalf of the institution. And it aligns with our LCTCS policy on foundations 5.017. But I'll turn it over to Dr. Strickland to really talk about the work and the core mission behind the Enterprise Corporation.
Share with you? All right, great. Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board, thank you so much for enabling me to come to the table today to talk about the Enterprise Corporation. This is probably more commonly known as auxiliary services at many of the colleges and universities around the state. Many of our university partners also have these. The purpose of this 501c3 is to enable the college to engage in activities that generate revenue back to the institution through some might call like a business services types of things. Things that fall underneath enterprise services would include maybe transcript fees that are charged, room rental space where that's available. But we have some really unique opportunities at Fletcher coming up, including potentially billboards, dry cleaning, serving as an Amazon pickup hub, having those lockers on campus. And so where you think about our normal foundations, they are more philanthropic based, where it is just donations coming into the organization to be used for the mission. This organization or this enterprise solution will enable the college to engage in some business activities that also generate money, funding back into the institution that is then solely directed to support the mission of our institution. And so it's a little bit different in terms of the activities between what the foundation would normally do, which would be more grant and more direct asks to donors, whereas the Enterprise Corporation would enable us to engage in those business activities. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Chancellor Strickland?
Oh, yes. So just to hear myself say it. So this is not a 501c3.
It is.
It is.
It is a 501c3. It is a nonprofit arm of the college. But the focus of it would be different than that of the foundation.
So different, but yet
still aligned. with.
Still a nonprofit.
Yes, it's a nonprofit. And so all the proceeds, everything that is done, the bylaws and everything would reflect that it would be a direct feedback into the mission of Fletcher Technical Community College.
Okay.
Aligned with, yes.
Supervisor Mount, one of the things that we have seen concern expressed, maybe is a way to say it, from other members in the higher ed community who have been down this path, is a concern that if we operate enterprises out of the foundation and there is any type of liability that is created, then you're putting the corpus of the college foundation at risk. By separating these two out, you have a new entity now that can go out and do business. And certainly would like to ask Chancellor Strickland to talk further if she feels comfortable about the notion of the billboards, because I think that's a real solid example that really helps people to understand the direction. So would you like to kind of outline that one?
Sure, happy to. So came across this idea at a conference that I was at. One of our sister community colleges in Texas actually implemented this and thought it was a neat idea and wanted to explore it further. Basically, what it entails would be the construction of a billboard owned and operated potentially by the institution or in partnership with an agency, and that's what we'll be doing, where we would sell ads, and this would generate revenue back into our institution. We started to explore this idea and had a donor who said, I will give you the property to construct, I will give you the right of way to be able to keep up the billboard and do all of the work that you need to do. And that strip of land is right there on Highway 90. Now, we learned early on that there were some prohibitions on billboards on that space, but we were able to work with our local legislative delegation. They secured approval through the legislature for us to be able to construct a billboard. In fact, it is set up that there are 3 of these parkways around the state. And now, due to that legislation, only higher education institutions are able to place a billboard on those 3 parkways. And so what we plan to do is take our little portion of Highway 90 right there in the Houma area and work with a partner, a large billboard partner who will help us to construct a digital billboard. We will develop a relationship with them and an agreement with them, whereas the initial revenue will help us pay off the cost of the billboard. The billboard will belong to the enterprise corporation, and then we will be able to sell monthly ads. We anticipate that this will generate somewhere in the vicinity of $12,000 to $15,000 a month for our institution, and then that billboard will be in perpetuity. So those dollars will continue to come in. They may not be huge, significant, it's not $100,000, but that $12,000 to $15,000 coming in based on revenue monthly over the course of the life of that billboard and that property. And the property itself was donated through one of our business and industry partners. So the property will belong to the college. We're working through the donation of that right now to the enterprise corporation, and then we will construct the billboard and generate the revenue. And this will provide that buffer too, that it doesn't put any foundation assets at risk if there were ever to be any issues with the billboard. I would also note that according to the legislation, Fletcher does retain authority to decide what goes on the billboard. So you have my word here today, nothing inappropriate will be advertised in conjunction with our institution.
Question, how do you define what you will and will not sell time to, or, the
Certainly.
billboard to?
So part of it was in the legislation that all advertisements have to be aligned to the mission of the institution. So we anticipate that ads that will be placed will probably be advertisements for business and industry that are aligned with programs at our institution.
Okay.
However, the legislature was very clear that there were certain things that would be prohibited, including legal advertisements, other alcohol, tobacco, and I don't know how else to say, but no Mr. Binkies or anything of that nature. Yes.
Okay.
But I will have the chancellor retains final authority to review any questionable, or if there's any concerns, that authority, whether or not to move forward with that ad, will rest with the chancellor's position.
I have another. First of all, I think it's fantastic, very innovative, and certainly commend you for thinking of additional ways to generate revenue to support the advancement of the mission. My only question is, this really could take off. And so from a staffing perspective, what other
Right.
resources would be required, right, to operationalize this?
Absolutely. So initially, as a part of the MOU agreement, we will have the opportunity to do some shared staffing, much like many of us do with our foundations. So for instance, my institutional advancement director receives payment both from our foundation and from the college. We would anticipate using some of that model until the growth reaches a point where the enterprise corporation may want to hire an employee to handle some of those. So that's what we anticipate just in terms of that growth area.
Just a quick follow-up on that one. One of the things that is clear in our CEA between this board and the foundations. So think of it in terms of foundations rather than enterprise corporations at this point. It is very clear that there should be no employee of the 501c3. Okay. And so that's an area that we're going to need to work our way through if and when the time comes. Because employing someone through the foundation becomes a real challenge when that individual works for the foundation board rather than for the college. If you go back and look, for those of you interested in the legal cases, the University of Georgia case is still, top of the wedding cake as being the example when the foundation owned the big G and the institution did not. So can you imagine being the institution that goes out to advertise, and every time you try to advertise, your foundation says, oh, no, you can't use the G? So those are the kind of things we want to be sure to avoid on the front end and make sure to structure this in a way that it works for everyone.
The other thing I did want to just add that I know has been a question, and I want to just put it forward now in advance, is just that we have received questions about operating or doing business services that might be in competition with those who are already in our community. And we have also said that we will not engage in direct competition with any business in our community. These are supplemental types of business services where they are add-ons or where there is no current service in our community in that respect. So no direct competition. We don't want to do any harm to our local economy and our local business and industry partners.
Any other questions?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sorry. How much revenue did you say it would possibly bring in?
On the billboard alone, we anticipate that it will bring in the neighborhood of $12,000 to $15,000 a month. Currently, with what we are anticipating would be going through the enterprise corporation, those revenues are roughly in the $10,000 to $20,000 a quarter. So we anticipate that this will hit 100,000 and grow pretty quickly thereafter.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? If none, I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board approve the presented articles of incorporation, master management agreement, bylaws, and the cooperative endeavor agreement for the establishment of the Fletcher Falcon Enterprise Corporation.
Thank you. At this time, I'd request a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Okay, motion by Supervisor McConduit, seconded by Supervisor Toops.
Any discussion or questions by board members? Hearing none, the motion carries. The next item is the Board of Regents match endowed scholarships.
Yes, so you have in front of you additional endowment matches. We approved a list of those in the 2024 December board meeting. In front of you is an addition to Suella Technical Community College, as well as some changes and additions to the list of Fletcher Technical Community College. Ultimately, the donors making decisions to put their gifts or additional gifts towards some of the endowment options to be matched with Board of Regents. So you have that list in front of you, and I'll open up for any questions.
See, recommendation?
Yep, if none, the staff recommends that the board approve the endowed scholarships as presented.
All right, thank you. I'd entertain a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor Ardoin, seconded by Supervisor Toops.
Any discussion or objection? Hearing none, the motion carries. Chair, that will conclude my items.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I wanted to wait until after the finance actions were complete and give a shout out to our friend and colleague, Joe Marine, who is watching from home today after having gone through some surgery over the last couple of days. I would just ask each one of you to send up a prayer for Joe Marine, a guy who has given so much of this organization over the years. Also would like to mention in lieu of the I'm sorry, be conducting the board development segment, which was mentioned on the agenda earlier. We'll be back around to you to look at some of the efficiencies that we talked about last time, okay? So I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
That's okay. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. This time, Supervisor Price, can you present the personnel action items for consideration by the board?
Yes, sir. I will do my best. Two items on my list. Toby, you will be handling those. Excuse me. First one is review and advisement only, revisions to LCTCS policy 6.025 code of conduct. This is
All right. So, this is again for review and advisement, and this is a policy that was initially adopted in 2002. So, 23, almost 23 years now. And the major changes you can see, basically, some of this is clarifying and reiterating state law on dual employment, and adding the additional item related to conflicts of interest for employees, maintaining employment on a Louisiana Public Post-Secondary Management Board while an employee of LCTCS, and then the provisions around disclosing that and then having that approved prior to the appointment. So that's in there for your review and advisement.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would, this is one that is one that I know the board is familiar with. We have had a circumstance in our system where a full-time employee of the community and technical college system was tapped by a governor to serve on a different higher education board of supervisors. The issues that are created there are many. In fact, it's, in my estimation, a slippery slope in a number of different ways. And so given that circumstance has sort of run its course at this point, we wanted to go back and make sure that if we ever found ourselves in that circumstance again, that we had rules to manage that kind of circumstance. So I want to thank in particular Toby, Gina Doucette, as well as Renita Williams for all the great work in making sure that we get this policy in the right stance to make sure that it is fair for both the organization as well as for our employees. Toby, the recommendation?
Staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement proposed revisions to LCTCS policy number 6.025 code of conduct.
There's no action required. Are there any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to my next item, which is pending a potential litigation or settlement authority. This is a standing item, and there are no issues to discuss for today's meeting. So I certainly don't want to get in front of this fast-moving train, slow anything down. So therefore, there is no need for action or discussion on this item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I don't want to slow down Supervisor Toops. I think I'm seeing if I can figure out. No, I'm trying to come up with some more stuff to make it right. A few things I would like to say though, before we move to the updates. I'd like to personally thank Dr. LaBeouf for keeping me on task, both in Washington and even before that in Seattle. You know, half the time I don't know where I am and where I'm supposed to be. You do a wonderful job. And I also like to thank Chancellor Stibe for hosting us in New Orleans at Delgado, planning the upcoming ACCT event, and Katie Waldrop as well. Just thank you for what you all do. You were great hosts, and I think we're going to have an outstanding conference. I'm also going to go back to you, Dr. LaBeouf. The story is, I was locked out of the economic development luncheon. You know, I got there so late, I didn't have my tickets to certain stuff. And Dr. LaBeouf assured me, what we used to call in Shreveport, jumping the fence, he'd get me in some kind of way. Well, at the last minute, I was accosted by the governor's folks that informed me, unlike Bob Euchre, I would be in the front row. So everything worked out well, but I cannot, stop saying how much I appreciate all that you all do. The other thing I'd like to mention is a function I attended at River Parishes, and this really touched my heart. Chancellor Taylor is a program where they're going to be doing expungements and have done some. That is so special because what stands between employment and some people, some minor infractions they had. Not having to do with harming another person, not having to do with violence, not having to do with hurting children, but some infraction that's been on that record that when they pull up that name, stops them from employment down the road. And so having law enforcement people there, having district attorneys there, having people in the higher ed community there, all chiming in this program, warmed my heart. So I want to thank Chancellor Taylor. I want to thank you for inviting me for that. It's just one of the things, many things that we do that I think makes a difference. So with that, I'd like to reference any updates and encourage board members to review the information provided.
Mr. Chair, if we may, on the updates, I would like to suggest that we add an annual report for the Enterprise Corporation at Fletcher, just to make sure that the board has an ongoing understanding of what's happening with the Enterprise Corporation, as well as any other enterprise corporations that may be added along the way. I don't think that requires a formal vote, just wanted to note that.
Okay, at this time, is there any additional business to come before the board? Hearing none, I'd like to make the following announcements. The annual mandatory LCTCS board training schedule for 2025 was sent out to all board members via email. If you need further assistance, please let Erica know. Also, please save the dates for LCTCS legislative reception on April 23rd and the LCTCS Day at the Capitol on April 24th. Be on the lookout for more information in the coming days. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion by Supervisor Johnson, seconded by Supervisor Price.
We stand adjourned. I'm even going to ask for a motion.
Those are the ones you're.
You won't even accept what I do. You got to give me somebody. Football.